Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Saul Lopez and I am an award-winning content creator based here in Los Angeles, California. If this is your first time here, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Saul Lopez and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm posting videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, providing educational content for freelance photographers and videographers. In today's video, I am going to walk you through my approach to filming football workouts. Roll the intro. Before we get into these tips, I want to show you one of the recaps that I've done. This one was for David Long Jr., who plays for the LA Rams. So take a look at this.
David Long Jr., number 25 cornerback, Los Angeles Rams.
If you want to be a football photographer or videographer but don't know where to start, here's a couple tips that might get you on the right track. If you're currently in high school and your high school has a football team, that is literally the easiest way in. Hit up whoever's on the high school football team, hit up the coach and offer to come shoot some football games. Maybe not right now because of COVID, but you know, when there's time to do that, or if you have friends who are working out, feel free to offer your services. You know, feel free to shoot videos for them for free. Ask them to invite you to the next time that they work out, whether on the football field or in the weight room, and it's like a really easy way to just get practice in. Additionally, if in whatever city you live in, the community college that is around your town, if they have a football team, you can also reach out to any of the players that are on that team. You can reach out to the athletic department and just be like, hey, I'm a local videographer looking to create some content. I would love to come and shoot for free. That is the easiest way to get your foot in the door because no one is gonna say no to free content. I grew up in Pasadena, California, and before I started videography, I actually didn't know that we had like a really thriving football community. There's actually a lot of college football players that come out of Pasadena, California, or just like the Los Angeles area. So one thing that I did when I wanted to start shooting football players and just football in general is I reached out to a couple local college football players. So one person that I've been working with since 2018 is Jameer Calvin. He is currently a wide receiver at Washington State University. And the way that I connected with him was I actually just sent a DM to him. I just said, hey, I'm a videographer based in Pasadena. Would love to come and shoot some of your workouts whenever you're back for the off season. Obviously he goes to school up in Washington, but he's down here during the off season. So I first connected with him back in 2018 and that was all through an Instagram DM. The person and the video that you just saw was David Long Jr., who is an NFL player. He plays on the Rams, but he is also from Pasadena, California, and he played at the University of Michigan. So same thing with him. I just sent him a DM and was like, hey, like if you ever have a workout and you're around the area, would love to come shoot for free and just create some content for you. Football is just something that I'm very passionate about. I actually went to the University of Oregon, which has a great football team. Here in LA, we have the Rams and the Chargers. Growing up, we had USC during the Reggie Bush years, and it was just like a very amazing time to live here in Southern California. So from a young age, I was really hooked into football. And as I've gotten and developed in my videography and freelance career, football and the sports industry as a whole is something that I am looking to get more into as opposed to the fashion and music industry, which I started in. All right, so now that you have reached out to people on Instagram, you've made these connections and you are on your way to shoot your first football workout. So what do you do? What do you need? First thing we're gonna cover is equipment. What should you be bringing to shoot with? So depending on what your setup is, obviously, I don't know what you're shooting on, but if you do have the budget or have the flexibility to rent some equipment, I highly recommend renting a camera that can shoot in 60 frames per second. Hopefully it's in 1080p HD, just because if you have the ability to shoot in 60 frames per second, that allows you to slow the footage down. Football is a very, very intense sport. The athletes are moving with intense movements. They are cutting really quickly. They're running really fast. It will make your edit a lot more dynamic if you have the ability to slow down your footage. And the way to do that is you need to have a camera that can shoot in at least 60 frames per second. Go through your camera settings. Whatever camera you have should shoot in 60 frames per second. If you only have an iPhone, your iPhone can shoot up to 120 frames per second. So don't feel discouraged if you can only shoot on your phone, because phones are great nowadays and it's somewhere to start. It's important to just get started no matter what equipment you have, because as you progress, your equipment will come, but your skills will start to develop with the equipment that you currently have. So now that you have your camera set up, another thing that I recommend renting is a long zoom lens. You want a long zoom lens because you probably won't be able to be right in the face of the athlete necessarily. You obviously don't want to get in their way or impede the workout by any means. And obviously a football is 100 yards long, so it's a lot of room to work with, and you are not going to be able to keep up with these athletes and be running next to them the entire time. So if you rent a long lens, either a 70-200 or a 100-400 millimeter lens, it will allow you to place yourself on different positions of the football field without getting in the way of the workout, but still be able to getting the shots that you want. I highly recommend either a 70-200 or a 100-400. Additionally, outside of your camera setup, if you have a drone or have the ability to get your hands on a drone, please bring it. Football and football workouts are typically outdoors on a football field, in a park, on a grassy plain. And if you can shoot some drone shots before of the football field, it will really help establish the setting in your edit. Bring a drone as well if you can. If you can't, no worries. Don't be afraid with whatever equipment you have, just bring whatever you have and let's get started. All right, now that you're on your way to your first football workout, you want to show up around 30 minutes early. The reason that you want to show up early is because you want to be able to sort of analyze the fields, analyze the space, see what you have to work with, what the lighting is looking like, what the conditions are like, and it will also give you time to set some establishing shots. So you can film just like B-roll of the football field, you can get the hash marks, you can get the yard lines, you can get the midfield logo. Like I mentioned before, if you have a drone, it gives you time to throw the drone up, get a couple of shots of the drone just to help establish the setting that you can use in your final edit. Prior to getting to the workout too, I highly recommend to wear comfortable clothes, pro tip, because you're gonna be running around a lot and you don't wanna be wearing tight jeans or anything. So feel free to wear athletic shorts, athletic shoes, because it'll really help save you a lot of headaches. If this is the first time working with the athlete that you reached out to and it's the first time meeting them, make sure to introduce yourself, be cordial. You want to show them that you're someone that's really easy to work with, and that way they'll have more trust in you and the final product will be a more engaging video. So now that they're getting started, you probably want to stay between 10 to 20 yards away from them at all times, just because you're not necessarily sure what they're doing at all times, so you don't want to get in the way of that and have the coach yell at you, because that's the last thing that you want. Maybe sit back for a couple of reps or two just to see what that play that they're going to be doing is. You can kind of see what the best position for yourself is so that you can get the best final shot. So if you're working with a wide receiver, for example, I work with Jameer and he is a wide receiver. I know that he's gonna be running a lot of routes. So depending on what route he's running, I can position myself at the end of the route where I know he's gonna catch the ball, so I can get that shot of like the ball being thrown by the quarterback and then landing right into his hands, as that's a very traditional football shot. Another position that I like to place myself on the football field is right in front of the quarterback, because if he is running a slant route or a post route, I can get a shot of his face as he's catching the ball, because he's going to be facing the quarterback. So I'll sit maybe 10 yards in front of the quarterback, because they're not going to be running around and I'm not going to get in their way, and it's going over my head. And I can just get a clean shot of Jameer just catching the football. A lot of other movements that football athletes work out is their footwork. So they do a lot of ladder work. They might be running up hills. So I like to get a lot of close detail shots of their feet just running up on the ladder, and just seeing how quick their feet move, just because it's a very intense movement. Again, I like to shoot this with a 70-200, maybe punch it in all the way at 200 millimeters, just so that you get that fine detail, but you're still not getting in the way, even though you know exactly where they're going. Don't be afraid to move around the football field. Obviously, with caution, see where everyone is. You don't want to hurt the athlete, just because that would be probably the end of your career. I don't even want to imagine what that would look like. But something to remember is just stay out of their way, because injuries do happen and you don't want to cause a professional athlete or a D1 athlete's season-ending injury, because that would be just detrimental to a whole lot of people. If you're primarily a videographer, don't be afraid to switch over and get some photos as well. If you take a good amount of photos, it's something that you can throw into your edits that can make it seem a little bit different, and just catch the viewer off guard just because they're expecting to see all video. But if you have some photos in there, it's a nice little almost stop motion action of them, especially if you get one entire sequence of that same athlete in the movement. Football workouts typically last between an hour to an hour and a half, depending on who the athlete is and at what level they are. But once you know that the workout is wrapping up, just make sure to get any final shots that you might need. Maybe get some close detail shots. If whenever the athlete is resting and you can kind of see them breathing hard, like make sure you get some of that B-roll action. If they're sweating, you can kind of see some sweat dripping down, you know, get some of those shots as well. It's something that can be a little bit different aside from them just running routes, because although that is what they're there for, you want to add just a little bit of a signature flair to your edits. Once the workout is over, the thing that I always like to do is go straight home and start editing. I get really excited just when I get to film football workouts, just because, as I mentioned before, I love football. So I go home immediately and just try to get this content out as quickly as possible, and get it over to the athlete just so that they can have it if they want to post it on Instagram or whatever it is. It's just something to show how professional you are, and you know that you can do good work. I always create one version for Instagram story, so it's 9:16, and then I also create one for Instagram feed in a 4:5 ratio. So I usually start with a 4:5 edit, and then once I finish that, I'll just resize it to 9:16. So it's not two separate edits, but the same edit just formatted so that they have one to post on their feed and then one to post on their story. If you took any photos as well, make sure to edit those ASAP, include them along with the video. A lot of people will text the video to the athletes, and it's probably the easiest way. However, that compresses the quality of the video substantially. So if you can, put them in a Google Drive folder, put them in a Dropbox folder, and then send them the link that they can download the footage from. That way, when they post it on Instagram, the quality is still relatively crisp compared to if you had just iMessaged the video over to them. Once you've sent them the video, even if you were just a beginner and you feel like it's not a good video, trust me, everyone loves seeing themselves in action, in working. So these athletes will be grateful for anything that you produce, and don't be afraid to post it yourself onto your social media accounts. You may compare yourself to other creatives and feel like it's not good enough. That is not the case. Everyone has to start somewhere. No one is a pro off the bat. So post those on social media, because I guarantee you, whoever these athletes, if they tag you on Instagram, their friends are gonna see it and they're gonna hit you up to come shoot for them. And it'll just allow you to build your network and expand the amount of views and eyeballs that are on your work. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm posting every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday through the month of December, so I hope you guys are all learning from my experience. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Saul Lopez. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on Wednesday.
I might just hit it through. That's on my element. I like dark skins, love a melanin. Talk, pushing the talk when I'm stepping in.